Aram grows up learning that reality can turn ugly without warning. One night, his father dies in front of him, his mother is left covered in blood, and the story that follows destroys the rest of his childhood. She goes to prison for murder, and Aram becomes the kid everyone recognizes for the worst possible reason. At school, people whisper about him like he is dangerous just because of what his mother did. They write insults across his desk, isolate him, and make sure he never gets to forget where he came from. Aram barely fights back. He has somewhere else to escape to. Last Eden. It is an old online game that has been with him for years, and inside it, Aram is nothing like the quiet kid everyone bullies. He grinds until he reaches level 250, takes rank number 1, and becomes the strongest player in the entire game. And through all of it, the person who stays closest to him is Eve, the beginner guide NPC who has been there since his first login. Then Last Eden announces that the servers are shutting down. Aram logs in for the final moments and finds Eve waiting for him in the same flower field. He knows this is goodbye, but Eve speaks like their time together meant just as much to her. As the countdown reaches 0, she promises she will always stay by his side. Then the screen goes dark. Aram wakes at his desk, assumes that last exchange was probably a dream, and heads back to the real world he hates. But the second he walks into class, his usual nightmare starts again. A silver-haired bully attacks him over a dead cat left on a desk. Convinced Aram must have done it because he is the murderer's son. Only Aram is staring at something completely different. Above the corpse is a game label, level 1 goblin. The bully keeps beating him and mocks him for talking like he is still inside a game. Then Aram looks at the people around him and realizes everyone has a level floating above their head. Before the bully can hit him again, a hand suddenly catches his fist. Then his arm is violently torn away. The classroom fills with digital distortion. Golden light erupts through the room, and standing in front of Aram is someone who shouldn't exist outside a computer. Eve has entered reality. Students panic as game windows and levels appear everywhere, but Eve only cares about Aram. She tells him she has waited all this time to finally meet him for real. And the longer she talks, the more Aram realizes Eve knows far more about his life than she should. She knows about the isolation, she knows about the bullying. She knows that reality has been hell for him. Because while Aram used Last Eden to escape his real life, Eve had been trapped inside that game, wishing she could escape hers. So Eve offers him a solution: erase anything standing in their way, merge the game with reality, and rule the new world together. Together, she says, they would have all the power they could ever need. Then Eve asks one question that completely changes Aram's expression. He has killed someone before, hasn't he? A memory returns from the night his father died. The story everyone at school believes is that Aram is simply the son of a murderer. But buried underneath that story is young Aram himself, kneeling beside his father while holding the bloody knife. Aram looks at Eve and finally realizes she knew that too. Before he can say much more, the injured bully begs someone to call an ambulance. Aram looks down at him. For years this guy could hurt him whenever he wanted, not anymore. A sword from Last Eden materializes in Aram's hand, exactly like the weapon he used inside the game. He swings. The bully is killed on the classroom floor. Aram stares at the sword and realizes there is no difference anymore. His equipment is real, his stats are real, his strength is real. Eve watches the whole thing like this proves they belong together. To her, everything is finally perfect. She crossed into Aram's world. Aram now has his game abilities, and together they can crush anyone who gets in their way. Eve smiles and excitedly tells him that from now on, it can finally be the two of them. But Aram has already reached a very different conclusion. He turns the sword toward Eve. Before she can even finish her sentence, Aram swings straight through her neck and cuts her head off. The NPC who promised she would always stay beside him is gone almost instantly. Then something enormous begins forming behind Aram. The game reveals exactly what has just entered reality. Level 250. Rank number 1. Aram. And looking at the overwhelming power surrounding him, Aram asks one simple question. Does he really need Eve? Then he smiles. Because he already knows the answer. He is already the strongest. I hope you enjoyed this recap. This channel is not run by an AI bot. This is a human voice, so I'd really appreciate your support if you could just drop a like and subscribe, and I'll definitely be making more recaps of the future. A lot more faster paced, as I've seen a lot of the other YouTube channels like to drag their videos out to 10 to 15 minutes and talk absolute nonsense. Thank you and goodbye.